Hello viewers, welcome to Afterthoughts. Today with us we have a special guest, political analyst M A Arafat. Mr. Arafat, welcome to our show.
Thank you.
So in Afterthoughts we discuss the current affairs, and today now the burning issue is the caretaker government, and the government is trying their best to come up with a solution. And today we have heard the main opposition chief, Begum Khaleda Zia, opposing directly and against all party government for the poll time, and they're saying no party. So what is your take on it? What was the expected reaction what should have been the proper reaction from the main opposition?
See, what I think is they should have reacted positively, and because in the speech of the Prime Minister we saw the indications of getting into a free and fair election, and also many of the indications were there which could have been capitalized on the part of the opposition, and they could have taken it positively and engaged themselves into a political dialogue, which was also the proposal of the Prime Minister. She didn't make everything clear. Like many of the politicians were saying that she hadn't made anything clear. Of course she didn't. If she had made everything clear, then why would there be any options for further dialogue? So that has to be, the rest of the things has to be resolved through dialogue. And democracy is all about dialogue and discussion. That's what we know. But apparently our main opposition, they don't seem to, want to get into this democratic process of dialogue and discussions. They probably want to resolve it on the street. I don't know. This has become the strange political psyche and of our politicians. They think they have to win over their opposition party, whether they're in government or in opposition, before the election. They have to have the trophy in their hand. They have to be the champion and then go and participate in the election. And that's how they can win in the election as well. So, but that is not good, because in that process, the country suffers. The people of the country, the citizens of the country, they suffer. And we have to come out of this, kind of politics. We have to get into more peaceful process and more the process where we should prioritize more discussions and dialogue, and that's how the problem should resolve. I understand that there should be some sort of turbulence in our politics because our democracy is not mature enough. We're still going through this process, and it is gradually evolving, I believe. But in this process, of course, this kind of things are quite natural, I understand. But then again, we also should apply our sense and our maturity and try to understand that the country comes first and the democracy comes first, and that's how we need to responsibly act. That's what I believe. Yes.
So as you were saying that both the parties, either be it ruling or opposition, always try to have the last word. They want to go to the election with the trophy. So don't you think it is also very much obvious on the ruling party side as well? Because they could have taken this stance that they're taking today 2 months back, when they were saying that they will not move from the constitution and have a non-partisan government.
See, actually the ruling party have been saying this for a long time. If you remember that when the Prime Minister was in UK, like 1.5 years back or so, and then she mentioned this, that she would like to invite some of the members from the opposition and can form a cabinet, bipartisan and all-party cabinet or something like this. And she indicated this even before that also, even in Bangladesh, in other occasions she mentioned this. But BNP and the oppositions were actually, they wanted to get this formally in a letter or something, some sort of formal proposal from the ruling party. But they were not doing that. I agree with you. It was probably, they're not doing it from a strategic point of view. They thought like if they had done it earlier, then the opposition would come up with much bigger demand, So it's a game of nerve. So both the parties are playing this. But whatever it is, at the end of the day, when the entire nation was going through lots of, anxiety, and we're not too sure that what's going to happen in all this, both the parties are like in the confrontational mood. So at that point of time, the Prime Minister's speech, I think it came as a token of peace to the entire nation, and out of generosity, like things that she offered, like she is a Prime Minister, you have to understand. In 2008, December, the election, it was Awami League headed by Sheikh Hasina won in the election. She is the leader of the majority party leader, right? So quite naturally, according to the constitution and the tradition of the Westminster form of government, she was invited by the president to form her government, and she did that. And she has her mandate, the constitutional mandate, until the January 24th. So according to constitution, she is supposed to be heading the government even when the election will be conducted, right? But what she said is, once the election commission is going to declare the schedule, the government she is going to head, she is inviting the opposition to give the name of some of the elected members, which she would be more than glad to include them in her cabinet. This is she is doing it out of generosity, I would say. She is not legally bound or constitutionally bound to do it, but given the situation, because there's a bit of mistrust and all that, both the sides. So just in the interest of an acceptable election and in the interest of everyone participating in the election, she is offering this.
But sir, I would like to interrupt that as a Prime Minister, she is not only obliged to work in compliance with the Parliament, but she is also bound to the people of the country.
Of course.
And
exactly.
all this stubbornness is also costing the entire nation. And the explanations she is giving now about the caretaker government, what it has cost, and it was ruling the country for 2 years after that. I'm talking about the last government. This explanation comes up now, but before that it was only her persistence about sticking to the constitution. She could have also communicated this fact to the countrymen.
Yeah, she did that. She even today also she is sticking to the constitution. See, one thing also you need to be, I mean, the entire nation should understand, and I'm sure that many people do understand that, but some people don't, and some people don't want to understand, which is, what do you mean by constitution? The basic principle of constitution. It is not only the amended constitution. Many people say that the constitution has been amended. So you re-amend it and, do it whichever the way the opposition wants it, and then there will be constitution again. So you go by that constitution. No, that's not what it means. The basic principle, the foundation of the constitution, the preamble of it, it says that this country will be governed by the elected representative of the people, which upholds the very idea of republic, the very basic principle of democracy. That we have to stick to. This is what the Prime Minister has mentioned. And if she wants to stick to that, and then she doesn't have to offer anyone to invite and come on her cabinet. But she is doing this for the interest of the country. That's what I'm saying. She's being generous in this. And there's no way that you can come up with a non-partisan government. Those who are proposing that, those who are promoting it, I think they're an anti-democratic force. They're not doing it in the interest of democracy. You cannot just accept it, especially with the kind of bitter experiences that you have in the past 3 terms, I would say. So we have to move forward. We have to reach to that level of democracy that is being practiced in the UK or in the US or even in India, in our neighboring country. So there has to be ice-breaking, point there. So what I think is we're going through this transition. I believe we have made many development in our democratic process. Now it's almost impossible to rig election because of the presence of the media. It's been so widespread, and also every individual is playing the role of a journalist. They have the cell phone, they have the video camera in the cell phone, and not only this, even the voters list that has been completely changed now, which is everyone has its picture on it. So there's no way we can have a fake voters on this. Then you're
and also there's a lot of international pressure.
International pressure, and there will be so many international observers will be here on the field on the day of the election. So there's no way you can do it. And also you have to look into the intention, something that the Prime Minister emphasized, if you remember. She said she requested the leader of the opposition to value her intention, her honest intention. That is very important. Let me tell you this. Now the opposition is saying that they wanted to go back to the 13th Amendment, which has been completely declared void by the court, Supreme Court, right, the highest court. So they want to go back there, the caretaker government or something. So this 13th Amendment, do you think that if we go back to the 13th Amendment, all problems will be solved? No. As long as you don't have the honest intention, nothing will be solved. At the end of BNP's last tenure, during 2006, when we were going to have the election in January 22nd, if you remember, on 2007, right? We had this 13th Amendment in the Constitution. But that could not ensure a free and fair election.
Okay, if we come back to now what the government has proposed, and still BNP is not ready to go to talks. So can it be linked with BNP's? Can this be seen like the government is not being able to create a congenial atmosphere for the main opposition to come forward to hold talks, and we also see a ban being put for holding public rallies. Mr. Arafat, as we were discussing about how is the Prime Minister creating a congenial atmosphere for the main opposition to go sit for a dialogue regarding the proposal she made for the poll-time government.
Now, before going to that, I just want to refer back to what I was saying before the break. Like in BNP's last tenure, during the end of this tenure in 2006, then there was election was due on 2007 January 22nd,
yes.
and we had the third amendment, the caretaker government, but they couldn't hold an election. Then we went into the process of depoliticization for 2 years, right? Why did it happen? Why didn't this third amendment could ensure a free and fair election? Because it lacked the honest intention. So this is where we were stuck. You have to understand, and this is exactly what the Prime Minister said in her speech. Yet believe in our honest intention. And how do you believe in that? Look at the track record of our last 4.5 years of all the elections that's been conducted. You have to see that. So this is what I'm trying to say. It's not only the amendment or a particular system of government can ensure it, right? Coming back to your congenial atmosphere, whether Prime Minister were able to do it or not. She's a politician. She has to go by certain, political bindings and all that, of course. She has some certain obligations. She has
what
to
kind
follow,
of obligations?
I'll tell you, she has to follow certain the strategies as well, right?
But then again, government strategies or political or party strategies?
She's the Prime Minister and also the leader of her party, right? It's both the thing. I mean, it's two different entities, but then again, it goes together, hand in hand, you know it. But then again, even after all this, I would say, if you go back to her speech again, what better she could have done, better she could have offered, you tell me. The better than this could have been done is the only thing, which is inviting BNP come and take over the power, go to the government. And then only they would be happy and they wouldn't reject it.
What about,
is this possible?
But again, as she is saying, all-party poll-time government,
yes.
And here she did not mention directly, but we have seen the Forest Ministry minister said that Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina will be leading that poll-time government.
She doesn't have to mention. See, look, many other people were raising this. It is no point raising this question. Why does she have to mention it? It is by default. It is, see, as I said, in 2008 election, she won the election. She has the mandate from the people. It is not like the military ruler or some other people coming onto the power just out of the blue. She was elected Prime Minister. Her mandate is till 24th January. It is going to be her cabinet, according to the Constitution. It's a legitimate cabinet and legitimate Prime Minister of this country. She's offering it to the opposition and inviting them to to be on her cabinet. There's no question of she not being in as the Prime Minister. See, if you follow the Westminster form of government, the President is supposed to invite the leader of the majority party to form the government, and she is a leader of the majority party. Who would be the Prime Minister if she is not the Prime Minister? Who the President is going to invite? And now tell me one thing. Now, if you are saying something like this, that it's because Khaleda Zia, leader of the opposition, who has 35 members in her cabinet, I mean, from her party in the parliament, she is saying that she doesn't want Sheikh Hasina. Where? On the cabinet where she is a majority party leader, who has the mandate till 24th January. So if you have to go by what Khaleda Zia wants it, who is a minority party leader, and not who is the majority party leader, then Sheikh Hasina should quit and say, okay, you guys go ahead and do the election. I'm not going to participate in the election, being the largest party in this country. So do you think this election is going to be acceptable? So you cannot just act like this, what the opposition is doing. You have to engage. Do not reject outright what's being offered. Because she has clearly offered that as an all-party interim government as opposed to their non-partisan, non-party caretaker government. And she left options open for everything else, where then we saw that there is room for further dialogue and discussions, which the opposition is not willing to take advantage of. They just have decided, as it looks like, they want to just go onto the street, and that's, want to create troubles for the people of this country.
And also she has said, main opposition chief has also said that she wants a no-party government, but we have not received any clear directives of how the no-party government
because let me tell you another thing.
Who are there? Who are the people?
She is just fighting, the main opposition is just fighting against the shadow. Because they're saying non-partisan, non-political, non-partisan.
Who are these non-political people?
Exactly, my question, who are those people? You want to go back to the Third Amendment again? Do you think the BNP will come to the election if you go back to Third Amendment? Because they very often accuse the government of eliminating Third Amendment and going, and amending the Constitution, the 15th one, right? So go back to Third Amendment. Hypothetically, what would be the situation? Who would be the chief of the caretaker government? Justice ABM Khairul Haq is going to be the chief advisor, according to if you go to the Third Amendment. Do you think BNP will come to the election? The first person who is supposed to be the chief advisor is ABM Khairul Haq. The last person who is supposed to be the chief advisor is the President, Mr. Hamid. BNP is not going to participate even if you go back to Third Amendment. On the top of this, they're not clearly saying that who are the people that they want to see as the chief of the caretaker. Hypothetically, there's no way that you can go there, but hypothetically, if you're just discussing this. So, can you tell me one person who can be the chief of the caretaker government who enjoys the confidence of both the party? Is there any person like this? So, why to fight against the shadow? We have to come out of this ad hoc solution. This is what I'm in favor of. We have to get into a permanent solution, and through the systemic reforms, we want to make sure that a free and fair election will be ensured in this country, and no one can rig the election. This is exactly what we need to do. So that every time before the election, the entire nation should not plunge into this and get stuck with the election. I have serious opposition in discussing about the election only all the time. I've mentioning in other talks a few days back. How about the future of this country? We're just thinking about stuck in the discussion with the election process. Okay, fine, we have an election. Then what about the future of this country? What about from the past experience that you have, the emergence of militancy again, the bomb attack again every other day? What's going to be the situation in this country? How about we're going back to the dark age again, when every other hour we have load shedding? How about go back to this food deficit again? So these are the things we need to focus on, right? So what I want the main opposition is come into a positive competition with the government, which is you tell the nation that yes, we failed in our previous regime to produce power, but this government has produced power, so we want to double it. You tell the nation that yes, we failed to produce enough food, we were in food deficit, this government has taken us to the food surplus, we want to double it. Tell the nation like this. You tell the nation that yes, we failed horribly, miserably in the infrastructure, in implementing.
But I'm sure like failures and success that's not a story of both the parties.
No, hold on. But the major thing you have to understand, what I'm saying is all the facts. So let them say that we failed in the infrastructure project, this government has successfully done many things, we want to double it. You tell the nation, yes, the previous government, we contributed in the emergence and of the militancy, but this government showed the zero
we
tolerance.
We can only hope that they will be saying this.
Let me finish it, because the nation should know this. So this is the positive engagement. This is how we want to know.
So what do you think is what is going to happen in the next few days or months? So we are almost at the end of the show.
See,
so
we
would like to
the good
hear
intention,
your speculation.
The good intention that has to prevail, the honesty that has to prevail, and this false propaganda has to stop. So now when you're not being able to engage in the positive competition, then you are lying to the nation.
No, we all know that. Everybody knows that. But so, what you think is going to happen now that BNP has said no? And so, what is the next step?
See, that's what I'm saying. If you see the lack of good intention, then what has to happen will happen. This nation will suffer. Simple as that. But then again, the people with good sense, they'll have to fight for democracy. People with good sense, they'll have to fight for development, and this has to be done. And whoever wins, this is how we see our future of this country. Whether we're going to go back to dark, we're going to go back to militancy, we're going to go back to no infrastructural development, we're going back to again the war criminals back in the power, or we're going back to a modern, progressive Bangladesh.
We hope that we're going towards a modern,
progressive
Bangladesh.
Exactly.
We're at the end of the show. Thanks a lot for being with us.
Thank you.
And viewers, we're listening to M A Arafat, political analyst, on our future election.